your mind, change your money, change your life. I am Coach Rob Lee Simmons, the host of this podcast, and let me be your tour guide to greatness. If I was doing any better, I would be you. Welcome to the Greatness Academy podcast. I have Miss Tabitha Donnell on, and she is the CEO of Novi. You got to help me. Because this Novia Solutions. So she is a brand strategist, and I have her on to give us the business. Welcome to the show, Tabitha.
Thank you for having me, Robert. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so I'm super excited. One of my previous guests on the show was like, "Hey, I have the perfect person for you." So you know me, I'm gonna look and do everything I can to be a good journalist at what I do. And I don't think it was maybe 4 minutes later after stalking you and looking at your LinkedIn, I was like, "Hey, you got some time?" And I'm glad to have you here. So 20 years in the Air Force. How was your transition into your business? Did you start your business before? What was the conception of your business? How did that happen?
Okay, great question. So I started my business while I was still serving, and it came about like through a mentor because I was helping someone on a different project in a nonprofit. And I learned that they had their own business. So me being you, I was like, let me stalk and see what this person's doing. So went on their LinkedIn, went to their website, went through their socials. I was like, oh, their socials, their graphics, what they're writing could use a little help. So I went to this person. I was like, hey, and I was pretty frank because we were friends. I was like, your social media is trash. And he was like, what? I was like, your social media is trash. And we were laughing. And he was like, well, why don't you do it? And I was like, other than like doing my personal social, I was like, I have never done that before. I was like, I don't know how to do that for someone else. Like, well, just try. Like, it has to be better than what I'm doing now, right? And I was like, yeah. So ended up doing that, and his socials kind of thrived, and so he was getting a lot of comments from people like, who does your social, who does your social media, who does your graphics, things like that, and so I started getting referrals and taking on more clients. And he told me like, hey, you need to start an LLC, and start charging and, doing these things. And so that's how it was really born. It was like by happenstance. It wasn't something that I was planning. It's just something that kind of was put in my lap, and it aligns with like my creativity because I'm a very creative person. So it definitely helped me find my passion through that. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do. So I kind of nurtured that while I was in. And so when I actually transitioned out, I just kind of started scaling it and, using it to further like my career in marketing, and also like to start driving more revenue and things like that.
Yeah, I find that like brand strategists are genuinely more creative people because you guys just see things that we can't see. Especially in social media, because for social media is we're looking for something, but it's like you brand strategists can kind of see the big picture. So what are some of the services that you really capture in your businesses, and kind of like how do you pitch that to say, hey,
Yeah,
you can't see the big picture, I can.
right.
Let me show you how to do it.
One of my biggest things, because most of my clients are veterans and have been veterans, the biggest thing when I pitch it is like, hey, your dream is, maybe it's leadership consulting, maybe it's leadership development, maybe it's you have courses or certifications, or you have a product you're trying to sell. That your passion is not going on social media making graphics to market this. So you're spending a lot of time doing something you're not passionate about, and it's taking the time away from you doing the thing that you really want to do. And so like I market it that way, like, I can do the thing you don't want to do because I love doing it, and you can do the thing you love to do. So you can both do what we love to do, right?
That's amazing.
And we both can get paid for it. So
exactly.
That's how I market it. And so normally when I take on a client or I'm talking to a client, before I even talk to them, kind of like what you did to me, I'll go through their socials, I'll go through their website. I call it a mini audit. I'll write down like 5 or 6 things that I've seen, things they're doing right and things they're doing wrong. And then I actually just tell them about it. And I said, I'm gonna be a little frank. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but here's what I saw. Here's where you have areas to improve. Here's, what you're doing good, but here's, things like that. And it's always worked for me because it's like I know I've seen that, I just don't know how to fix it, or I just do stuff and I know it doesn't look good, but I'm trying to get it out there. So my feedback has always been like taken greatly. They don't be like, well, I don't want to hear that, or I don't think that. They're like, I totally agree with everything you're saying because I don't have the time to do it. And that's where I like that's where we come to a deal. You know, I could do what you don't want to do, and you could do what you want to do.
Right,
And that's
exactly.
really how that's really how it works out.
Yeah, I think one of those big pieces in uh, being a business owner is understanding that you're not going to be good at everything. I would imagine,
Mm-hmm.
unless it's another brand strategist, that their feelings probably shouldn't be hurt if you're
Hurt,
if
right,
yeah, if you're trying to be a social media expert and you're not doing a good job, that's one thing. But if
right.
you're doing your business, that's a whole different ball game. And that's kind of one of the pieces that I think is very important. And brand strategy is being you. So
Mm-hmm.
how do you define brand strategy, for a client, and then
Mm-hmm.
how do you help them shape that part of them? Because
Get there.
sometimes people just don't know who they are, right?
Right, right. And so one of my biggest questions that I ask them is like, what is your brand voice? And they're like, what? What is that? And I'm like, and I give examples like, is your voice serious, professional? Are you humorous? Are you trying to be educational? Are you trying to be informative? Are you trying to be witty? Like, what do you want your brand voice to be? And I ask them to give me like three adjectives. And when they do that, it kind of builds the personality. And 'cause some people like for me, I'm very creative. So my brand is creative. I use bright colors. My website has really, really witty like sayings, but some people want to be, more professional. So I want to know that because then I could say, okay, well, this is how that kind of shapes how you look. Because
Right.
if you're saying I want to be quirky, I want to be funny, then I'm going to think of, I'm thinking in my head certain fonts, certain colors, things like that. So I ask them what their brand voice is. I ask them what your goals are. Like, what are your goals for your dreams? So if they are, I say, what are your goals for what do you see your goals for marketing? And I'll go, well, I just want more engagement, or I want it to lead to more conversions, or I want people just to know about me. And so that also shapes like what I'm thinking in my head of how to build a brand. And so if say the entrepreneur or the small business owner has a large following on social media, but it's like their personal following, right? They haven't really been marketing their product or their service. I'll try to figure out a way how we can use what they already have to get what they want. And so it just depends on who I'm talking to, an individual. But I actually have a questionnaire that I send them, like what makes your product or service better than others, and what's the weaknesses of your product or service? What are some competitors, or what do you like that someone else is doing? Like, give me some examples, and that helps me build a better strategy for them. So it's a lot of touch points that I've done, I've built over the years to make sure that when I get it back or when we're talking, I know exactly what they want. I know exactly how they want to sound, how they want to look, and I kind of run with that.
No, that's really good. So I think I have an even more simple question, but to me, when I thought about it, I'm like, this is kind of like what you do, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, for you, this is really great marketing when somebody watches this and they're like, that's the lady I want, right? So
Right.
I have a good business and I have a good
Mm-hmm.
business. When it comes down to brand strategists, how do you separate the two?
You mean trying to see which business is better, or like what, like,
Yeah. So
I,
how would you make one business stand out of another if both of them
oh,
are the
okay.
same when it comes down to their brand?
Right. So it depends also on their audience because you could have two of the same product or service, but one might be trying to get organizations, like large organizations, and one might be trying to get individuals, right?
Mm,
And so that's a differentiating factor or differentiation. You also can have like someone like there's a lot of people, let's be honest, that do speaking engagement, right? So what's going to make this speaker? Why am I going to choose this speaker over this other speaker, right? And people tend to do prices. So if I lower my prices, then they'll pick me over everyone else. That's not necessarily the case. I've learned with like larger, if you're trying to market yourself to large organizations like enterprises, they actually see the lower price as you being inexperienced. So they won't pick you. So
yep.
it depends on who you're marketing, right? But if you're marketing to a small business owner who might not have a budget, they might see that price and want you. So it depends on like who you're trying to reach. And so you have to like go into the detail. Okay, well, who's your target audience? Well, I don't know. Yeah, well, we have to figure that out because that's gonna how we're gonna separate you from everybody that's in your space doing what you're doing. Also your look. Um, a lot of times there's a lot of noise, so everybody sounds the same. But if you have if I talk to you and I'm like, you have a great personality, but I don't see that in your post, in your on your website, I don't see that. Is that intentional? Like, no, I just don't know what I'm doing. Well, if we bring up that voice and show how you're different, how you sound, like they're going like, oh, I love, the way they talk. They talk like me, so they sound
Right.
like me. It's easy to understand. So it depends on the person, but to answer your question, to make one business better than other, you have to just dig down to, well, who are they trying to sell to, or who are they trying to get to notice them, and then that's how you start the separation.
So, I mean, I think there's, of course, I don't know if you see me, I'm taking notes, taking notes, right? So this is like, I'm now that I've got you here for the last 10 minutes. Not only is this my podcast, this is my free coaching session, right?
Right.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
get a free coaching
absolutely.
session, Um, I provide the marketing, you provide the coaching, right? Um,
Exactly.
I love it. And so I think it really like the devil is in the detail when it comes down to the business and
Mm-hmm.
the actual strategy and understanding that every strategy won't be created equally, and to have
Mm-hmm.
someone with the ability to customize what's specific not only to the business but to the personality of the
Mm-hmm.
owners of the business, I think is really key. Like, so let's talk a little bit about like online marketing and
Mm-hmm.
even for a brand or a service, like how nowadays has that become so important, not only to like larger business but small businesses and entrepreneurs. Come on, Alexa, not right now.
I'm like, um, the biggest thing is honestly is um social proof. And I say it all the time. So, and that's with anybody, right? If I am going to buy, let's say, okay, I'm a homeowner. So let's say I was looking at someone for pest control services, right? The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to Google, I'm gonna type in pest control services in my area, right? And I'm gonna look at reviews. I'm gonna go to their website. I'm gonna go prior to the social media and see if people are complaining on their posts. I see if people are praising them, right? So you got to build that social proof. Um, so I feel like the what matters to small or large businesses is social proof. Several companies now they're in a spotlight for doing things that maybe the public didn't agree with their product, and so they have bad reviews or sales are dropping. So you have to the reviews, like they call it word of mouth or WOM. Word of mouth. I'm more likely if I go on Amazon and type in, because Amazon has millions of products, and type in um maybe let's say what's what I feel like, oh, the best mascara, the best mascara on Amazon. I'm going to look at the reviews. I don't know any of these people. I don't know one of them. But if I see 100 people say this mascara is amazing, it stays on all day, I'm going to buy the mascara, right? So that's social proof, right? So I've known several clients that have businesses where they have all of these testimonials, all of these reviews, and they just have them in like the email or on an Excel spreadsheet. Like, well, have you posted these? Have you done? Like, who has read these? Oh, I haven't done that. I don't think, I don't, or I don't feel like it's important. It's very important because people like to research now. Everybody researches before they buy something. Sometimes small or large, people are gonna look it up. Or I'm gonna say, hey, dad, or hey, mom, or hey, sister, have you heard about this person, or have you heard about this? And someone says, yeah, I've used them. Like, for example, when I bought my house, I didn't know a realtor. So I texted my best friend and my high school friend was like, hey, you know any good realtors? I said, like, and they think, oh yeah, this person is great. And I went to that person. And so that's because it's a word of mouth because they've had good
Yeah,
experiences with that person.
yeah,
That's that social proof. So you have to build the social proof. If you have a repository of all these great reviews or people saying, hey, your podcast is great, I gave it 5 stars, but you never put that out there, and it's only
right.
when I'm going through a list of podcasts, I'm like, oh, well, I look, everybody loves this one. I don't see anything on that one. So I'm going to probably listen to this one.
Yeah.
And so yeah, things like that.
I would say I'm a guilty shopper of that. I will go down and I'm like, hold on, let me look at the reviews,
Reviews, yes.
and I'll look at the first couple 5 stars, but let me see what the 1 stars
The
say.
1 stars, right.
They gonna tell
Or
me the
how many
truth.
1 stars they are.
How many you got?
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say I need. And then the other one, my favorite is the 4 star review. Because if you give a 4 star,
Sorry.
4 stars out of 5, you just a hater.
Right. And sometimes the 4 stars that sound like a 5 star. I'm like,
Yeah,
why'd you give it 4 star? I
yeah,
don't
just a
understand.
hater.
Why did
It
you give a
wasn't
4 star?
perfect, but it was damn near
But
perfect. I'm gonna give him four
or
stars.
I read this. It was smaller than what I thought, but that was me. I didn't read the description right. But this why did you
Right,
why
right.
did you
That don't knock me. Don't knock me for that. That's good.
oh.
That's good. So, wow. So let me take a step back, right?
Okay.
So there's a period of conception in your business where this thing really it wasn't off of the ground. What it was a thought process. How long did it take you to drive your idea into a full LLC in a thriving business?
I kind of felt like I was pushed because I was like, I'm gonna take this one client and I'm gonna do this for a while, take some more certifications, learn some more things about marketing, make sure because I always felt like I have to be perfect
Right.
before I can start charging people, right? And we all know that perfection is not attainable because it's not real.
Right.
But I'm like, so I would keep pushing off, like, okay, let me get this Facebook ad cert, let me get this Google Analytics cert, let me get this, except and it let's kept going. But what's happening was at the time where I'm trying to say I'm only going to do this one client and focus on getting myself together for developing myself in this field, I was getting referrals. And so I'm like, okay, well, people, and then I started taking on my clients because I was getting referrals, not me trying to outreach and cold email anybody. It was just me taking courses and people saying, hey, I saw this person's social media. They told me you did it. Do you mind us get on a call? I'm like, okay, sure. And that kept happening. I was like, you know what? Clearly I'm doing something right, right? Because if people keep saying, hey, we want to use you, and then I'm getting results out of what I'm doing for them, then I know something. So I had to give myself some grace and say, hey, Tabitha, you don't have to be perfect. While you're doing this, you can still take certifications. You don't have to wait you don't have to pause everything and keep trying to take more courses because who knows how long it's always going to be a new course. I'm kind of a procrastinator. I will if you give me a reason to not do something that I'm hesitant about, I will use that reason and I will drag it out for as long as possible.
Yeah.
Like I said, I feel like I was pushed, right? Like you can't have 4 or 5 clients and then now you have 10 and then say, well, I can't do this because I'm doing it, right?
Right,
So
right, right, right.
I had to say, okay, why can't we do both? Like, why do you have to wait? Like, they know you don't have it. I don't even think they even care about the certification. No one even asked you about that. Are you certified? And no one said that. That's you making that you have that. So I had to get over that hump, and that's really it was. Uh, one of my friends told me that your enemy is sometimes your enemy, and that was me. I would be the reason probably why my business wouldn't be thriving today. But like I said, I was kind of pushed. People kept coming to me and say, "Hey, can you do it? Can you?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, yeah, sure, yeah, sure." Like, wait a minute. Like, my fear was that no one's going to want to use my service because I'm not knowledgeable or as experienced as I think I should be. But they're using my service, and
Right.
no one has ever said, "Well, are you certified in the Google Analytics?" Like, no one, not one person.
Yeah,
No one even like I had no one even asked that.
that's like one thing that I learned. It's not about being the most experienced. You just have to be more experienced than the person that you're serving.
That you're serving,
That's it.
and you have to have results, right?
That's it.
So, um, yeah. So I'm able to do results, and I know more about it than they, like you said. So it was more me. So once I got over myself, my own hindrance, I was able to okay, you know what, Tabitha, there's no reason why you can't do this. You're doing it, and that's when it started to like scale.
Nice. So let me ask you, uh, I'm eventually gonna find a different phrase from "let me ask you," but that's like the last 20 episodes. Everybody knows. All right, here comes a question.
Right.
Um, let
Oh
me
boy.
hey, let me ask you, what are some do's and don'ts of an entrepreneur when they're doing their business, their branding strategy? Because a lot of people jump into the business or any business and they don't
Mhm,
think first like, all right, I know who I am. I'ma just do this stuff with
mhm,
um no blueprint for marketing. They just do it,
mhm,
you know.
mhm.
So what are some do's and don'ts that someone
Okay.
should probably off top, hey, I'm about to start this
So,
LLC. How do I get
right.
into the business?
So what I've seen, I'm like, that kind of doesn't drive me mad. I'm like, dang, it could have been so much better if you would have done is like someone writes a book, right? So I'm following somebody that I might have known for 5, 10 years, maybe a year. They write a book, and then I see a post. My book is out. I'm like, what? Who are you?
That's a good
Like,
one. I did that.
and that was for sale. Like, what are we talking about? So one of the things that and it may do well most of the times it doesn't. And why it doesn't is because people don't know what you're doing. You didn't build up the anticipation,
Yeah.
right?
You
You
lost
didn't build
six
it up.
weeks of
You
you lost six
you
weeks of
you didn't.
content.
So people feel like they have to have a finished product before they sell it.
Yeah.
I can't I can't say this book is I'm writing a book because I don't have a book, right?
Right.
There are a lot of people more than you can possibly imagine that will sell a product or a service that they don't even haven't even done yet or haven't even written yet.
Mm.
But they know in 6 months I'm gonna have this book done. So 6 months out, they start saying, "Hey, this later this year, my book's gonna be released." They built up. It's called a product launch strategy. So you have a pre-launch, you have a pre-launch, then you have a launch, right? And so if I had seen, like, I'm gonna buy the book because I know you, but if I don't know you, because a lot of our connections that follow social media really don't know. But if I log into my LinkedIn and what is it, July, I follow on LinkedIn in February, and I see you're writing this book, or you have a book coming out, and what the book is about, and you have, maybe one of your friends have already read this book or read a chapter of the book, the only chapter you've written, and they think this is an amazing blah 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 blah. And I'm seeing this, I'm like, oh, I want to read this book. This book looks good, right?
Yeah.
And then you tell me again, and like you remind me again, and like what I said, February, remind me again, like April. Like, the book's gonna be released. Only a limited amount of copies are gonna be out. Pre-sale on now. Sign up now for autograph copy. I'm like, oh well, crap! I want an autograph copy, right? So I might sign up. I don't even have a book, but I might sign for the pre-sale. I might even pay for the. I might even. It ain't even out yet, right?
Right.
And then you go, okay, launching in July. Sign up now for the pre-sale. To before it sells out, whatever, however you gonna market it. But you build up anticipation because now, like, I'm waiting for this book. Like, where's this book? But when you just put the book out there, people are like, "Oh, that's cool. You wrote a book." But they're not gonna know they have to actually look at the book now to read what it's about, find out. Okay, I don't really need this book. I got like 1,000 books. But this book is no different because you didn't build up that excitement in there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's tons of books on the market. Like, why would I buy your book? What's so different
Right.
about your book? You didn't tell them. You just told them, hey, I got a book. This is what it's about. And they go, like I said, your friends and family gonna probably buy it, but the people that don't really know you gonna be like, oh, okay, cool. Congrats. I'm gonna give you the celebrate. I'm gonna get a celebration and reaction on LinkedIn. I'm gonna move on. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if I do that, I might not. They might not even do that. And so people like, I did a book, but it didn't do too well. Why didn't it do well? I don't know. I don't know why I didn't do well. Did you do a pre-launch? Did you do a launch? Did you use your email list? Did you tell anybody, or you just did a post on social media and thought it was going to sell out?
Right.
Like,
Right.
it's a whole strategy to everything. So that would be like my don'ts. If you have I'll see somebody say, "Hey, I'm now a career coach." Oh, you are? Like, I've never seen you put down one piece of career advice anywhere.
Right.
Like, so if you're going to be a career coach, I would say before you announce that, maybe a month, 2, 3 months out, say, hey, here's some of my career tips. Now I see you like, oh, he does give me he was posting about, career stuff and our valuable things. I use one of his ideas for, my resume, or, I got that question in my interview. He's absolutely right. You have to build up anticipation and excitement in whatever you're trying to do. So when I did my marketing stuff, I started just posting marketing tips, like, things you should do. How do you start your LLC? How do you make sure that your company's name is not trademarked? All these things that help entrepreneurs and small business owners. Here's what you should do on social media. Here's how you post on LinkedIn. Just things that help them. I've never once still in my life have ever said, "Hey, I'm Tabitha. I work with our own Novaya Solutions. Come to me and use my services." I've just given valuable information, and people have just hit me up on their own. I've never reached out to anybody, and that's because I was giving them value. They know what I do. And so if I do announce, hey, we're having a sale or whatever the case may be on this for this month on our social media service, I'm probably get a good response because people know that's my space. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? They know they've seen me do these things. They know I'm posting graphics, so they know I can do graphics. And I'm kind of like, I call it the soft sell, right? You're soft selling yourself. You're not going, hey, buy my graphics. I'm a graphic designer. You're like, you do a post with a nice graphic, and it's like, oh, that's a nice graphic. Who did that graphic? You know, so it's a soft sell because I'm still selling myself. I'm not selling anything. I'm not saying, hey, buy from me or hey, get it, let me do your graphics. But I'm showing you my skills and what I can do. And so that's what you do. And that's in the
Right.
other example is what you don't do.
No, that's good. That's really good. I just kind of took a couple of notes. Definitely providing value is one of
Mm-hmm.
those things that's just vital to your business. And I did learn that from Jay Salter. Shout out to Jay.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that hey, if you provide uh, value on the front end, you never have to really
Mm-hmm.
worry about
Mm-hmm.
on the back end. If I you've already provided the value.
Mm-hmm.
I've laid my price on the table. You know the value I
Mm-hmm.
provide.
Yeah, you know, right. And people are more willing to give you money when it's kind of like they feel like they owe you because you've given them so
Yeah,
much great stuff for
yeah,
free. So
yeah.
I don't have a problem buying this or let me look actually see what you do because I actually have a business and I hate doing my social media, but you know, you clearly you're an expert. So let me look at how much you charge. You
Right,
know?
right.
So yeah, that's how it works.
And then I think the other note I wrote down was market the maturation and anticipation. So that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty doggone significant because again, and when this is something that I learned over business. When
Mm-hmm.
you said, hey, the moment you decide I am about to do this, you should now be pushing this out, letting people know. And some
Mm-hmm.
people have some superstition about don't tell nobody your next move.
Right.
Okay, well, how is everybody gonna know your
You're
next
gonna
move is
know.
selling something if you don't
Right.
tell everybody your next
But
move?
you're
You
going
can't.
right.
That's marketing 101 is
Right.
yeah, everybody needs to know.
You used to know, right?
So
Or you're gonna sell one book and it's gonna be to your mom. And you're like, what
right,
happened?
right. Best selling author sold 2 copies.
2 copies. Like sold out. I only made two, so we sold out.
Right. And so as an author, I definitely I've experienced that. Again, I am just like you in the middle of I think I threw that alley oop, but in the middle of writing a couple of books, right? Um, and I've learned from my time of my first book, first marketing strategy is show them the process, right? A lot
Mm-hmm.
of times people love buying the process, and I
Mm-hmm.
think again for me it's just a learning experience. How do you think the process helps with developing customers?
Well, I think the process helps because people buy from people. Like that's the the bottom baseline of everything. People buy from people. So when you are going through the process and you're showcasing this is what I'm doing, hey, you can talk about your struggles. Like I was supposed to get a chapter done this month. All I got was half the chapter or 2 pages, and this is why I had to give myself a break because give my mental health. I need to just pause and then focus on this, and then I can come back later. Like people, then they go, you know what? I did that same thing. That's exactly how I feel.
They
Like
identify.
they identify. So they're like, no, you got this. Like next month is your month, right? So then when that book come out, like, yeah, you did it. Like,
Right,
let
right.
me see. Now let's see our book together. We went through
Exactly.
this process together. Where's
They
our
feel
book?
like they feel like they're part of chapter 14. We were
Yes,
in
like
this together.
I remember chapter 14 because you said you stopped. And it's a great chapter. I read it. It's something I can't wait to read chapter 14. My body feels like get to chapter 14, So they are part of your journey. And people love, like I said, people our nature is we are good people. We want to be good, we want to be kind, we want to help others. So like I said, when you put that post, I am struggling with this with chapter 14. I don't know why. I have to take a step back. People learn, you got this. We understand, they're going to be words of support because that's what we are naturally inherent to do. So like I said, now I'm involved. Like this
Right,
our book. Like
right,
did you finish chapter 14? Like
right.
you
I'm
posted
vested
everything else.
now.
Did you finish chapter 14? Oh, I'm on chapter 16. Chapter 16. Like we all how many chapters is the book? We halfway there. So
Right,
when the
right.
book comes out, it's our book. Like
Yeah,
I'm gonna read our book.
and I think that was one of the good things. So my first book, I released a soft launch, but
Mm-hmm.
part of that was I you for marketing gave books to my beta readers, and
Mm-hmm.
then my beta readers sent me back pictures of them with the book and things of that
Mm-hmm.
nature. a few things that they sold. And then on the front end, I only had a limited amount of hand signed copies because
Mm-hmm.
I bought a box of 20 and everything else. Yeah, y'all gonna buy on Amazon, but hey, get these books. I only had probably about 2 weeks because I got cussed out for the same thing you said. Like, so you've been writing the book for 6 months, and then the last 2 weeks of launching it, you decide to tell people, yeah, you just
Mm-hmm.
wasted 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was about to go down a rabbit hole. I did yeah, but kind of backing back on that, um how do you feel uh brand st- brand strategy is let me take a step back. So I got like 80 questions, right? Um so because I mean, you really answered everything that I want to know, and but more specifically, with social proof,
Mm-hmm.
how important is it to tell people, and then like what is the time frame of when I should be letting people know? So for example, somebody says, hey, this is a great book,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't have everything linked in and connected, and I don't have 5 stars on Yelp. How do I take
Mm-hmm.
that social proof and then push it out to the world, and then what is the time frame that I should do that in?
So there, like I said, with the product launch strategy, there's pre-launch, there's pre-launch, then there's launch, and then there's the after where you look at everything that you did differently and you start the process again. So normally for me, the pre-launch is pretty much a strategy. You're pulling your email list. You're pulling maybe the testimonials or reviews that you got together. The pre-launch is where you're actually start implementing this. Like, so say you don't have a website built yet for your pre-launch stage, or you don't have a big email list, or you have to use what you have, right? So you still might have social media. You still might have friends who might have large following on social media, so you can make a graphic of just that review with a picture of your book saying, hey, this is a great book. You know what I'm saying? Just to start people like, oh, well, I saw this on this person's social media. And I'm like, well, who is this writer? So now I'm going to go, how we do, go on a rabbit hole on social media. Who is Robert Simmons? So let me go Google or look on Facebook for Robert Simmons. Oh, he's writing a book, or oh, he's in the army, or oh, he does this stuff. Like, oh, okay, now I'm kind of interested in what he's talking about. So you don't have to wait for you to have a fan. You can even, to be honest, there's tons of free resources out here where you can launch a website that might take you 10 minutes to put together and look amazing. Canva has a website you could do that they have the templates already that are for product launches, so you don't have to do much. Domains are like $12 a year. They'll put it on there for you, so you can actually get something out there with minimal work and minimal knowledge just to have a presence on on the internet or digitally. And I would big say the way of the world today is truly social media. And whether you have, like I said, you don't have a large organic following, I'm pretty sure you know somebody that does and wouldn't mind sharing your post for you. You just gotta think of ways to be strategic to think around, okay, well, I don't have this, I don't have that, but what do I have? And then use what you have to get what you want.
So I heard you speak of really talking about like landing pages.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of important just to have a landing page. You kind of recommended like websites, social medias. Um, is it part of like custom strategy as to where you should um land your buy this product or service, or is that based off of um the product and the arena wherever that you're in?
Yeah. Oh, I think what platforms you operate on, and that can be whether you need a website, because a website is usually like it's like several pages, right? So most services, most products don't really need a website, and a website takes longer, costs more. A landing page is really literally one, like it's like the homepage of a website, and that's it. And but you can get everything you need on there. Why we exist, what this product is, its features, its benefits, how much it costs, buy here. You can do that all on a landing page. Um, I think when you're trying to launch, people want to think, well, I have to look and be amazing for anybody to buy this from me, right? But if you did the strategy right, where you were building anticipation, building the excitement for your product, all people want is a link. Where can I buy that? Like,
Hmm.
is it on Amazon? Is it going to go to your Shopify? How can I get these books? They're not going to think about, because at this point they feel like they know you,
Right.
and people know from people. I know you. I've been talking to you for 6 months. I don't think you're gonna rob me of my $25 for this book. Just send me the link, as long as I can put my credit card in or my PayPal. I'm going to buy it from you. But when we're the seller, like, okay, I got to make sure I look professional. I make sure I look credible, because no one's going to buy this if I don't have a website, or no one's going to buy this if I don't have anything showing that I'm this big deal. Like, and that's normally not the case. Like I said, when I started, I didn't even have a website. I'm trying to do the website. Like, oh, I have clients and no website. Like, how can I be a marketing person and I don't have a website?
Right.
Like, I gotta have a website. But that was me and my mentor, because I don't think anybody would, because no one said, hey, I tried to look for you and I didn't see you had a website. No one said that.
Right.
But that was me, like, I gotta have a website. So that's something you can build later. That's why I say do a landing page, because it's, like I said, there's several Wix. There's Wix.com. They have free pages, and they even give you a free domain. It won't be like whatever, like if I want to say www.tabbydonnell.com, you have to pay for that, but they offer like even free domains to host that landing page. And then you can use another tool to shorten that link and kind of make it yours, so it's more professional.
Mm.
So there are a lot of things that you can do that are free. Like I said, and Wix has their templates are really professional. Like, all you gotta do is upload the pictures, actually change the Latin text to what you want to say, and then you push it live. And now you have and that might, I would say for me, probably take like 10 minutes. But for, let's just say the person has no experience in doing anything like that, it might take them just an hour or two just to get it, because everything is there for you. Like, it's
Right.
pretty simple, right? So we like to think in these grandiose ideas. We have to have all this amazing, we have to look like Nike. Nike didn't look Nike when Nike first started. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So everybody has started somewhere. We know Nike now. We didn't know Nike. I didn't know Nike started in the 80s. We said no one knew, like, Nike was started. Nike's only who Nike is now because Nike started doing strategy, and their brand and their planning, and they influencers, and they keep growing. It's not, you don't become Nike overnight.
It's a
Everybody
process.
has to start somewhere. It's a process.
Yeah,
You
for
gotta
sure.
trust the process, and if you put in the work, and I think another thing that entrepreneurs do as well is we feel like we have to do everything. I can't possibly. I don't have the money to pay anybody because I'm just trying to get money myself. Um, but there are many people who will help you out or give resources that can allow you to do something, like I just said, like the Wix.com, and then the rebrand for the link and things like that, where you can, people say, hey, I don't mind doing a logo for you. I have people on LinkedIn, I don't even know, they're my connections, and I see their logo, I'm like, oh my gosh, I had to fix that logo for you. And I'll write them like, hey, do you mind if I change your logo? Or here's the idea with it. You can use it. People are willing to help. It might take me 10 minutes, but I know for them, it might take them forever. I just think that, it's too much work. I'm not going to deal with it.
Right.
No,
Right.
I don't mind here. So there's no issue with asking someone for help, or saying, hey, do you know somebody that could do this? Or maybe my budget is this, or hey, or do you know how I can do this for free? And I'll do it. I just don't know where to go.
Right.
And so there's no issue with asking for help. Like I said, but we want to wait until everything is perfect. And sometimes that waiting loses us clients, loses us sales. So we didn't even know we were out there because we had to be perfect. And probably we you still weren't perfect, but
Hmm.
you thought you were as close as you're gonna get, so you went out and did it. But like I said, I've never had anyone come to me and say, "Well, you're not certified in TikTok, so I don't want you on my social media," or "Your website looks basic, so I don't want you." I don't even think they looked at my stuff. So strategy, just, I think the biggest part of it is planning and giving yourself phases. Like, don't just say, well, I want to sell 20 books or 100 books, and things like that. You have to say, okay, in December I want to um do this. In January you have to hold yourself accountable, right? Give yourself phases, and then also give yourself grace. And maybe you go out that phase, okay, this is why this happened. Let's adjust the strategy and change, and just push to the right a little bit, and then we can keep going. So strategy and having an actual plan keeps you accountable, right? There's an app called Evernote. I use notes on my phone, but there's an app called Evernote, but you could put in, like, and even Trello, and I think another one, ClickUp, has free,
Hmm.
like, task management tool. You can go in there and say, okay, this is what I need to get done, because sometimes you have so much stuff going on in your head, you forget stuff, like, and then it
Hmm.
seems overwhelming, right? But if you see it, and I always tell, like, people, I focus on energy management, which is as part of time management. Like, I am not energetic in the morning, so I don't schedule stuff for myself or anything important in the morning. I do my light tasks in the morning. I do my heavy tasks in the afternoon, late evening, because that's when I'm wide awake. I'm thinking, right? So if you try to do your heavy tasks when you're not really mentally there, it's going to seem like it's taking so much of your energy, so much of your time. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I'm gonna do this later. I'm gonna do this later. So you got to really work with who you are. So if I got to build a website for myself, I'm not gonna start in the morning because it's probably gonna take me weeks to do it. But if I do it like if I do it when I've had my tea, I watched my Grey's Anatomy, I'm good. I'm awake now. It's 1 o'clock. I'm good. I'm ready. Let's go. I can knock a prayer out in 3, 4, 5 days. So
Nice.
you have to just really like give yourself grace because if you're trying to get through something, or if maybe I don't know how to do website, but I'm struggling. Now I spent weeks trying to get this website, and I only have like 3 words on it, right? Why I don't have to do everything by myself. You know what I'm saying? Um, there's websites like Fiverr and Upwork where you
Yeah.
can hire people that do it for less. And you might think I don't have $5,000 for a website, and then you go there. Oh, they're only gonna charge you 500. Oh, never mind. I have 500. But you don't spend. If you do your time as money, you spend hours and weeks on something, and you have nothing to show for. You spend more than $500 in time,
Easy.
right? So
Easy.
easy, easy. You're probably a thousand. You could have paid for the five
You could have
thousand dollar
paid the
website.
5,000, right?
Right. So I think that we have to really like give ourselves grace. And I say that, and that's really in life in general, right? So say like you're writing a book and say, Tabitha, I wrote this book. I probably didn't do my strategy. I probably didn't launch it right, and I only sold 5 copies. And I don't want to do this again. I spent a lot of time and tears and sweat and effort into this book. No one bought it. And I'm gonna go, Robert, no, you got this. I'll be your accountability partner. When do you want to write this next book? I know somebody who does proofreading. I'm pretty good at writing too, so we can do this together. Like, don't quit, don't give up. This is your dream. You got this, right? But what is now? Let's say I'm writing a book and it doesn't do well. I'm like, oh, shouldn't have did that. I'm so stupid. That was dumb. Why'd I even try? I knew I shouldn't have did that. We don't give ourselves the same grace we give others, or
Right.
we don't talk to ourselves as kindly as we talk to others. We'll give everybody else the best advice, a pat on the back, a shoulder to lean on, and cry, but we will not do the same for ourselves. We're super hard on ourselves, saying, "Hey, Tabitha, you tried it, didn't work out. Let's step back, see what we did wrong, adjust that, and try again." We're like, "Nope, I quit. Shouldn't have did it. Knew it was a bad idea. Don't want to." You know what I'm saying? And we're
Right.
hard on ourselves.
Just beating yourself
Why
up.
just beat yourself up? And so that's why I say, well, like everything, especially with business, if people start trying to business, they'll do a post, 0 likes. Like I've been posting for months. I haven't received 1 like or one conversion or whatever. But instead of saying, hey, let me step back and see what I'm doing wrong, or hey, let me talk to somebody and see if they can help me. We'll be like, okay, I'm just gonna shut down. I failed. It's a failure. Failed venture. I'm never gonna try business again. You know? Um, and we don't give ourselves that grace, like, okay, well, maybe we didn't mark right. Maybe our domain can't even be found because we might have messed up something in the DNS server or in the CNAME or whatever, and we
Right.
don't know
Right.
anything. We just give up. And so for me, when I started posting on LinkedIn, I didn't give anybody like first of all, I was a stalker on LinkedIn for a long time. I was just for people what they call the snoopers. I didn't do
That's
anything.
me.
I was reading everybody else's stuff like, oh, okay. And I would like it, but I was like, I'm never gonna post because I'm just never I don't want to. I don't want to do it. And so when I started doing it, it was like, okay, 1 like here, 2 like here. And then I had one post have like 200,000 views, like, oh, okay. And I started posting like, you know what? I'm not when you realize when you make your goals realistic, like I'm not posting to get thousands of likes. I'm not posting to get thousands of dollars. I'm posting to help others and give value. And that's when you reframe it, that's when the stuff happens. So I had posts that maybe had a couple of likes, but then people were in my DMs like, hey, this is what you do. I have this company. I'm interested. Never engaged on a post of mine ever. But in my messages, like, hey, I see your post all the time. I like what you're saying. Do you do this? Or can you help me with this? Or can we get on the call and talk about how I can market my business? I'm like, oh, absolutely. So just because no one's engaging or doing what you think people should be doing doesn't mean that no one's noticing you.
Oh yeah, they
So
see.
they see it.
They
They
see.
just stalk it like I do. They just
Yeah,
stalk
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, but yeah, so
No, that's good. All right,
ramble on
so
that one.
let me ask you this. So
Okay.
for someone who is planning or wanting to become a brand strategist, what would be some advice that you would give them?
I would make sure that they're passionate about it because, and they have great customer service because
Mm-hmm.
every person is different, right? Um, but you really just have to have an eye for like design and understanding of the data because um, data speaks to me. Data is another language, and I love it because you can say, okay, we did this post and it had 20,000 impressions and all this engagement. Here's our engagement rate. Here's how many conversions it had. So that type of post does well. Then you have another post and it doesn't get anything. Okay, it didn't do well, but instead of abandoning it, how can we reframe it? Maybe you change the color, maybe you change the look, maybe you change what we said, right? And so it's really having a knack for understanding people. Like some people actually do psychology classes because there's emotional responses to marketing. The colors produce emotional responses. Um, so it's really have understanding for people, have understanding for how people shop, where they shop, why they shop there. As the days go on, people want more and more convenience. So making things more like you have to understand like the market, who you're marketing to. If I'm probably selling if I'm a certain brand that caters to older generations, I'm probably not going to be on Threads, which is a
Right.
new thing because they're not going to be there. So you need to know like things like that. Well, where are they at? They're probably not going to be on social media at all. So how can I reach them? So you just have to think like who the target audience is, the persona of your audience. It's just more like you have to just really be in the weeds, and then you have to understand, well, this is what my client wants. Is that attainable? Because nobody wants a yes man. So if they're saying I want to sell 10,000 books by the end of July, I'm like, that's not possible. You haven't sold one. I can't come in here. I can't come in
Be a
here
miracle worker.
and be a miracle worker, right? Because now I'm putting the pressure on myself, and it's not gonna happen. Then I don't meet your metric, to be like, well, you didn't sell anything, so I'm not paying you anymore. I don't want to pay you for what you did. Like, no. So you have to set realistic expectations for your clients. Sometimes that seems intimidating, but I also have somebody in the heartbeat that is not an attainable goal. Not in that time frame you gave. Ours it might not be attainable in 2023. So you have to say like you can't be like, well, I want to get paid. I want to be my client. So I want to say yes to everything they say
Right.
because they don't know, right? So you're supposed to be the expert. So you're supposed to be the person to say, I love how you're thinking. I love you're excited about this, but let's bring it back and let's talk about these goals. Because the whole military is smart. Let's do some smart goals.
Right.
Um, we can do these. We might, or we can't do but we can't do these this month. This might take a couple of months, especially with social media. Like somebody hired you to say, I've hired you. It's been weeks now, and I still have no engagement. It doesn't happen that fast. It doesn't happen that fast. I tell clients, give me at least 3 months to produce some results because
Yeah.
I have to. People aren't used to seeing you like this.
For
Sometimes it
sure.
happens faster. But I don't want to, but it could happen in a couple weeks. But I'm not going to tell you that because if it doesn't, then you're looking at me like, hey, you tell me 14 days, I will see something. I haven't seen anything, so you're not doing your job right. I don't want to use you anymore. So you have to be a realistic person. You have to be tough because you're going to have to tell people like they're going to say, well, I want to post. You have some people with the CEOs and entrepreneurs. I want to post this on Friday at 4, and I want to post exactly like this. You had to say, well, Friday at 4 on this platform is actually not going to be a good idea. This is why, but you can't be like, okay, sure, I'm gonna do it for you, and then it doesn't happen. Like, well, that's what you wanted, but you're supposed to be the expert, so you have to be able to be like, you know what, that's not a good idea, and here's why. Friday at 4 on this platform, no one's on there. You know,
Yeah.
I've
Don't
done
let
this many
clients
times,
set
and
themselves up for
don't let
failure.
client right because that's not their failure. It's yours, right? Because they're going to come to you. Well, why'd you let me do that? Well, you said you wanted to, but I didn't know. You knew. I'm paying you to tell me. And a lot of people times you have to, like I say, I won't necessarily tough, but you have to be able to like to have a voice and say, hey, that's not a good idea. If they still want to do it, then now it's on you because I told you that it's not a good idea. I've done this 15 times in the past and it never works out well. And this is why. And if they still want to push for it, then that's it doesn't work. I'm not gonna do I told you so, but the data speaks, right? The
Yeah,
data
for
speaks.
sure.
So
For sure.
yeah, understanding people, how they think, how they move, where they are, their pain points. Why do they even want to buy this or need this service? I call it objection marketing, where instead of marketing what your product or service can do, you're marketing to the people who wouldn't buy it and why they wouldn't buy it.
Oh.
Yeah, so I call it objection marketing. I don't want to get that because it's too expensive. Well, here's why. This is the price. This is why.
I'm sorry, I'm writing some good notes, but I do got a question for you though.
Okay.
So, let me ask you, what is the largest purchase you ever made, and then how did it make you feel?
The largest purchase I've ever made was this house I'm currently in.
Mm,
Um, and for me, it has been my biggest financial accomplishment in my entire life. 'Cause like I said, I haven't said I am a single parent, so I did it all by myself. I had a really bad credit when after my divorce, and so it was a lot of arduous work to get even to the point for someone to approve me for a house. And not only the house that I have was in a really like upscale neighborhood, so um it is the city I'm in is really like, known for um I guess what do you call it? Not it's an influential neighborhood. So
okay.
for me being able to do this for myself was really big because I just, honestly in my life I never thought I was gonna buy a house. I always wanted to, just didn't think it was feasible for me because I'm like, I don't make enough. My credit shot, I don't even know how to do the process. Like I wanted it. Everyone wants to buy a house, right? But I just think that everyone's be attainable for me. So being able to get this was like sometimes I walk in the house like, you did this, like you got this, girl,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
good girl, like you did this. So that that's probably like that's my biggest purchase in life. And
Yeah. I think I think buying a house is just a big flex.
it
Like
is.
I'm a landlord even though I live here.
Even though I live here, like get out my grass, like
Yeah.
like you're a homeowner when you're like. Because I tell my friend all the time, like I love rain. Like, why do you love rain? Because it waters my grass, and I
Yeah,
don't have to
yeah.
pay. I can turn the sprinklers on. I don't have to pay for water. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's mine.
yeah, it's
Mine.
fine. So it's like little things like that.
Yeah. That's amazing. Hey, I really want to thank you for jumping on, providing a ton of knowledge. I hope you come back and see us again. I got this future concept that I'm coming up with for this podcast, and I think you would be the perfect candidate to be on one of the
Okay.
first shows. So I'll pitch that to you after we shut down. But again, thank
Okay.
you so much, Tabitha, for jumping on. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And on the show, we say that winners win. We want to thank you for being a winner because when you win, we win.
Oh, thank you.
All right. And we are
All
out.
right.
Boom. Thank you for joining the podcast. And remember, change